a story, and we pull all of our science experiments from the story. Since it's so close to St. Patrick's Day, we decided to do this story, How to Catch a Leprechaun. So I know there's probably tons of you out there that have read this already, that are familiar with this one, but beyond making the leprechaun traps, we are going to talk about how to lure your leprechaun. Because the leprechaun's not just going to go in your trap, but we need to entice them. We need to have some bait in there. So there's two things that we're going to do. One is we're going to learn two different ways that we can use stuff that's around your house. So if you're at home right now, you can use these things to make rainbows that are going to call your leprechaun over, kind of like a bat call, kind of like a reason for them to come over. And next thing that we're going to do is we are going to demonstrate how we can turn ordinary pennies into gold coins.
The way we're going to attract the leprechauns is creating our own rainbow. And what we're going to use is a white piece of paper. You could have a white countertop or a white floor. We're going to use a clear glass of water and a light source. In our case, we're using a mobile phone. If it's sunny out, you can use that, or if you have a flashlight. And we're going to use the dispersion of light to create a rainbow. And very simply, you're just going to shine the light source from one side through the glass of water, and you'll see a rainbow form on the other side. Because what's happening is when the light passes through the glass and the water, it bends. This is known as refraction. So different properties causes the light to bend differently. This is why there's a refractive index. And each wavelength, which corresponds to the color, bends differently. So you'll see certain colors that bend sharply and others that bend less sharp. And so you'll form a rainbow, and you'll see certain colors that are on top of the rainbow and others that are on the bottom part of the rainbow. So which colors tend to be on the top and which ones tend to be on the bottom?
So here's another way that you can make a rainbow at home to attract your leprechaun. So you're going to use just a couple of things that you have around. You can use a small cup with just a tiny bit of water at the bottom. We're going to have a paper towel that's cut so it will fit and stand up in your cup. And then just markers. So markers that are dark work pretty well. I have a dark blue, a brown, purple, pink, black. And what you can do to make this really interesting is to even look for different brands of markers and see how it works differently with the different brands, as well as different types of markers. This is a whiteboard marker, and you can compare and see what happens with different types of markers and with different brands. So all you do to do this is you cut it a little bit so it stands up like this, depending on the size of your cup, and then you'll fold it in half, and fold it in half again until you'll have 3 folds in here. Now the bottommost fold, you will go ahead and just draw like a dark line on it. So what we're going to do is you are going to go ahead and drop it in, and you're not going to move it once you drop it in, but you're just going to prop it up so it sticks out a little bit. And you want to make sure the water in there does not, it's low enough that it doesn't touch where the line is with the marker. So I'm going to go ahead and drop it in here, and we can observe and see, mine's falling a little, what's happening. You can see it's starting to come up. I'm going to do a couple other ones too. So here I'm going to have my purple. So something that helps is if you kind of fold it like this and put it in, that helps it stand up a little bit better. And then this one, do our brown one. You can see how quickly it starts working. This is our black one. So even within just a couple seconds, it looks like they're starting to move up. Here's our original one again. So that was the dark blue. And you can see the colors starting to be pulled out of the original color and starting to make a rainbow type of look. So these ones are still working. Let me show you some, because if you leave them, it looks like this now, but they actually keep going. So this is one we had made with purple. So this one ended up like this. This is our pink. So we have this pink one. This is how, actually maybe I'll let you guess what color this one is. This is black. So all of these colors were pulled out of the original black color. And I don't know if anyone could guess. Can you guess what color this started with? This one is brown. So it started as brown and it pulled all these different colors out of it.
For the second rainbow, what we did was known as chromatography. And I used to do this in my forensic science class, and it was known as ink chromatography. And what we used was chromatography paper, the chromatography vial, and some sort of solvent. And it's not normally water. In our case, we use water as the solvent. And what happens is the marker, and if you use different brands of black marker or black pens, you'll notice that the colors that come up are actually different. They're not exactly the same. And what happens here is because all these different pigments are used to create that color black or the color purple and all of that. And when you put it in the solvent, in this case water, water's going to come up because water interacts with itself, which is known as cohesion, and it also interacts with other things. And in this case, there's different fibers. So there's cellulose within the paper towel, is interacting with that and is coming up through adhesion. And in addition, it's also taking what is soluble. So the different components interact with water differently. So as you can see, the blue is more soluble in water than the red that's at the bottom. And because of that, you'll have this different profile. And this, in forensic science, is known as the retention value, and we calculate that. But through capillary action, water is coming up and it's taking the different components and it's being separated into a rainbow.